Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top tips for selling on Vinted. Anyone who knows me will know that I'm a big seller on Vinted. I've been using it for the past few years and I've made nearly £6,000 on there. So I'm going to be sharing all my tips about kind of listing, but also where to get products from, because I've also recently started reselling as well. So firstly, when it comes to listing on Vinted, the timing and the frequency I've learned is everything. So the first thing that you need to make sure you're doing is you're listing at the right times. So if you do a bit of research, you could even use ChatGPT, you'll find that the best times to list on Vinted are usually 8 p.m. in the evening and also any time on weekends. This will boost the kind of visibility of your products because more people are using the app during this time. Then it comes on to frequency. When I first started using Vinted, I'd batch take loads of photos. So I'd have 200 photos and I'd just upload them all at once. And a few things would sell, but then the rest of the stuff wouldn't sell. And I'd be like, why is it just a few things sell each time and then all my sales just drop off? So what you need to do is you need to post the photos in batches. So say you're taking 200 photos, you need to post maybe 10 photos per day and spread them out through the day. I even set reminders on my phone just to remind me when to list the next item. And I find that this keeps a steady stream of people looking at your items, but also going through your profile and look at the other items that are on there. So it really keeps your listings towards the top and keeps people coming back and looking at your posts. Another tip I have when it comes to listing on Vinted is your pricing. So for me, I always try and price above the amount that I actually want. And then usually an offer will come in about £10 lower, and that will be kind of the price that I'm happy to settle at. But also, say an item is not selling straight away, I will list it at a higher price originally, and then at intervals, maybe every 2 to 3 days, I will drop the price by £2.50. And what this will do is the people who already follow your profile, they will get a notification saying so-and-so has dropped the listing price by this amount. They'll get a notification and then they'll go and look at the page. So really for those buyers who have maybe showed some interest but already said it's out of their budget, this will kind of get their interest back. When taking photos, and I know a lot of people have different opinions on this, whether to have a clear background or to have it, with something in there, or to wear it on your body or to put it onto a mannequin. For me, I find the best way to take photos is to either be wearing the item yourself or to have it, on a bed sheet laid out looking very presentable. I don't think it necessarily works when you go on photo editors and put in white backgrounds, because I've found sometimes this can decrease the listing views because the AI on Vinted will think that you've taken the photo from somewhere else and it's not an actual photo from your camera roll. So it can decrease the number of views that you get and in turn decrease sales. So really stick to those kind of natural backgrounds, but of course get all the angles in. If you're taking the photos yourself, make sure to take a picture of the front of the item and also the back of the item on you. And it can help to also include the measurements. I don't necessarily do that on all my items, but on some of the higher priced items, this might do well. Another top tip that I have is if you are deciding to sell items that are designer or on the higher price side, it's really good to mention in the description that it's possible for the buyer to get verification through Vinted. I've recently got into selling Louboutins and other designer items. So not always do these items come with a receipt from the actual store if I've bought them on a sale. So what I do is I mention in the description that the buyer can always buy with Vinted verification, and this kind of removes any niggles that they might have about whether the item is genuine or not. So if we move on to actually getting stock, obviously when it comes to listing on Vinted for your first few items, I would definitely go with things lying around the house that you no longer need. But say you've got rid of all that stuff, there are a few different places that you can source stock in order to sell. I've tried out both designer selling, selling vintage items, and also just selling random items that I find in charity shops or in sales. So one of the things you need to know with designer selling is you need some proof of authenticity, or at least you need to be able to verify that the item is genuine. There are checkers on Vinted who will be able to pick up whether the item is genuine when you list it, and they'll usually come back and remove the listing and request further authentication. So it won't work if you're not 100% sure that the item is real. So it's really important to either include that description that mentions that Vinted verification is available, or attach a receipt if you have one. When it comes to vintage reselling, I would suggest finding different apps that are available, or you can source the stock from Depop. I've noticed there's a big market for people uploading vintage items onto Depop for quite cheap, and then you can resell on Vinted. But there's also certain apps that you can use. I've recently got into using the app called Fleek. They sell by bulk. So generally what you do is you download the app. I've got a code below if you'd like to use that. You can get £20 off your first order. But you order from China, you're able to do video calls with the suppliers and pick out certain items that you want. And often on this app, it's like a marketplace, so there'll be different bundles that are advertised as available within certain niches. So we've got Y2K, or even certain brands, so we've got like Champion, Carhartt, things like that. And these bundles are really good because generally you can get some big name brands for under £10 per piece, and listing these on Vinted can sell really well as well. I've done that a few times and it's worked out really, really well. And then obviously the third option is to just kind of look at different places to source stock. And I think this is really good for kind of having control over what you're selling. As I've found sometimes with these apps, you don't have full transparency over like the quality of the item, but also the kinds of items that you'll get in your parcels. Some things that I've done to find stock is visiting charity shops, going to sales. So these are just regular sales in, say, Zara, Topshop, places like that, and then selling these on Vinted. Obviously, there are so many different avenues that you can take, and you can even source the stock online, sell on eBay, but you really just have to explore what is available on the market and go from there. I also have some tips when it comes to packaging and sending off your items. I used to just reuse old parcel bags from, say, Shein or H&M, whatever my latest orders have come in. And yes, this will get you generally good feedback, but if you're wanting to make sure that you get the higher feedback, like 5 stars, which really people that are going to buy from you are looking to see that you've got already, it's really good to buy packaging. So you can get this cheap on TikTok Shop. It's usually 100 packaging mail bags for around £3. And even putting little treats inside, so either a thank you message or a little packet of sweets just to say thanks, and This will get the people to come back again and again, and also leave you a 5-star review at the end. One of the things that I really love about Vinted is that there are really so many opportunities to make money. It's become a marketplace to sell so many items, and it's also really sustainable in terms of getting rid of items that we no longer need and sending them to loving homes. So I think if you're looking to make a little bit extra money or a lot extra money, because some people are doing this full time, that's something that I'm looking to do in the future, and it would be a really good idea to get on this train. Vinted is really amazing, better than other apps that I've used because they don't have seller fees, and items are tracked from the minute that you sell them to the minute that they arrive to the buyers. It removes any disputes that might happen about items not arriving or any kind of issues like that. So it really makes the process a lot smoother. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if there's any recommendations of future videos that I should make, or certain things that you'd like to see on my channel, or any comments regarding Vinted selling, please leave a comment and a like below. Thank you so much for watching.